Well, g'day, Max here again. Welcome back to the shop. Well, I've got a little video here. Unfortunately, my computer was giving me a lot of grief and I've had to delete, like it was full chockers to overflowing, so I've had to delete hundreds and hundreds of photos and that sort of thing off it. And getting a bit overzealous deleting, I've deleted accidentally the first couple of clips of this video. Not only have I deleted that, I had a whole series of clips on a soft jaw video which I owe you guys too. So anyway, what happened there was the editing program that I used, every now and then it just seems to delete everything that's on there. And I had the soft jaw video probably 90% edited, and yeah, no, it just deleted everything, and it's done that before, so I'm not happy about that. So that is one I will have to readdress in the new year. So anyway, we lost the first part of this video. Basically what's happened, it's the carburettor of my little John Deere ride-on mower, and the butterfly shaft through the middle of the carburettor has snapped in half, and this is how I go about doing the repair on it. So have a look. A little bit of variation on here. I'm just going to run a spring cut across it and then we'll get a better measurement. $216, 216, 215 and a half. That's all right. We'll leave it at that. Just a quick polish. Okay, we can pop this out of here now, and I'll take it over to the vise and I will hacksaw it to length. And then we can face the ends off, get it in the milling machine and machine the flat on it. Now I do have a tool post that mounts on the back of this cross slide arrangement here. That's to hold a rear mount parting tool. So you put the blade in upside down. Interesting enough, this cross slide was made by my dad when he worked at the Post and Telegraph workshops, and it was actually made on an old Wotan shaper machine, which was one of the machines that was reclaimed out of Germany after World War II finished. So bit of history on this lathe. Plus, my dad owned this lathe from brand new, and he used to make wheelbarrow axles in the back of my grandfather's shed many years ago, before I was on this earth. And his business progressed from making wheelbarrow axles on this lathe to, grew into a very large structural engineering shop with a machine shop out the back. And of course that used to be my playground. So I started very young and early. That should do it. Quite a bit of wear in the cross slide on this lathe too. Something I'll have to address. Once we do get over to the new shop, I'm going to strip this lathe down and go right through it and give it a complete 100% restoration, as this one I will never ever sell. It's too much family history, too much history behind this machine to part with, so we'll get it back to brand new condition. Okay, so I'm just going to use a Sharpie marker and get a location where we have to machine our flats. Okay, so if I machine to the outer extremities of the Sharpie marker, we'll be in the correct location. Now, I didn't actually cut it to length yet. I just want to be 100% certain on how I'm going to hold this in the milling machine before I lop it off. Let's see what our options are. Okay, leaving the shaft long paid off, as I had to hang it out the vise far enough to support underside of it with some 1, 2, 3 blocks. So that worked out well. So what we're going to do is machine down half the thickness of the shaft, so half the diameter, and plus half of the width of the butterfly. That'll keep the butterfly rotating on the axis of centre line on the shaft. So that's a total of 3.12 millimetres. So we'll touch off and mill away. Okay, we'll just mark the top with the Sharpie so we can see when we touch off, and we're coming up a total of 3.12 millimetres. Write that down. Just a fraction more off on either end. Right, that's where we need to be. So I'll find the centre now and we'll get our 2 holes drilled through. So okay, as far as our hole locations go, the 2 holes, there's actually nothing to measure. I've just got a neat fitting drill bit, grip lightly in the chuck upside down. We can just drop it over the top like that, come down with the quill, and we know we're in location. Okay, that's all we need to do. So we can put a drill in now and drill a hole through. We're just going to drill a 2.5mm hole through, and then we'll travel along half inch being the hole centres of the butterfly. Okay, first hole, so I'll come across 12.7mm. Okay, that's 12.7. Just make sure it looks where we need to be. Yep. Next hole. Now if we drill now, we're going to drill into a 1, 2, 3 block, which is never good. Slacken off our clamp. Just shift our block over. So we're drilling into a hole in the 1, 2, 3 block, just there. Right, that's all of the milling and drilling completed. You can take it out of the mill. So a bit of deburring to do. And then I think what I might do is we're going to make some stepped rivets. So we'll turn up some stepped rivets to hold the butterfly onto the shaft, due to these holes being quite wallowed out. So let me just deburr this and we'll meet you back at the lathe and we'll make a couple of little rivets. So we've knocked up this little sketch. This will be the 2 rivets required to hold the butterfly to the shaft. So it's just 2 little tiny tot things we've got to make. Roughly a 1/4 inch diameter on the largest part of the head of the rivet, and 215 thou long overall. So this will be our setup. And to the uninitiated, this lovely chunk of cast iron that's been made on the ex-World War II Wotan shaper from Germany is a rear mount tool post. So we have a tool in there at the moment, and we will use this tool to do our parting off operations. Now this is the best way to set up a parting tool in one of these small lathes. Really it's the only way to do it. So let's get turning. So we have a piece of 10mm black round bar, so we'll turn the entire length of it down to the OD, the largest OD of the rivet, which is 250 thou. switch on, engage our feed. And we should get a size 317, so way to go yet. $250.5 thou. Okay, that's our first diameter. So now we need to turn our, well, that's the outside diameter, so we need the first step, which is 150 thou for 175 thou long. So we set to 175 thou. And we'll split our cuts. We'll split it to, what do we got? 150 to 200 thou, take off. Yeah, we'll just do 20 thou cuts. So that's 40 off the diameter. Sorry, 27 thou to go. It should be 150. Yep, thou up on size, that's fine. As long as our washer, butterfly washer, fits over that. Lovely, that's what we want. Now we'll just double check our length. $175 thou we're supposed to be. We're 156. $171, 4 thou to go. Okay, our last step is 150 thou long for a diameter of 98 thou. Okay, that will do that. So that'll locate the larger hole of the rivet like so, and be below flush on the end of the rivet. And the small diameter should fit through the hole in our shaft. Which it does. Okay, that leaves us a little bit on the end to peen over. That's the first one done. Okay. Now we just have to search for our part. Well, that took some finding. Okay, here's our small step rivet. So it has this very small shoulder under the head, and that's to locate the butterfly. Now on the parting tool itself, that went well, but the front cutting edge needs to be ground to be angled the other way so we don't get this tit on the end we have to now deal with. So I'll go ahead and make one more of these off camera, and then we'll go through the riveting process. And the last one, we didn't lose that one. Okay, so I'll file the tit off this one. Whoops, just lost it then, I think. Okay, I'll go searching. We'll file the tit off that one, and then we'll get this thing assembled. Well, we've got to have a look at the thing on the other end. I'll show you. Okay, there's our two little stepped rivets as per our sketch. So both we lost and both we found again, so we had a win there. And you've got to see a rear mount tool post for parting off. Although be it they're only parting off very small items, it's really the only way to go with a small lathe of that description. A lot of people piss and moan about parting off, and then they just go straight to the saw without addressing any of the issues. I mean, I could rattle off 20 reasons why you're having issues parting off, and I've listed them on videos before, so they're there. But anyway, let's move on. There's our rivets done. We've had a win with our shaft. It just has to be cut to length, and the little lever on top, we need to remove the peened over section on the top, remove the lever, and come up with a way to attach it to our shaft. So I'll go off camera now, and I'll just go and file or grind off that peened over section, come back with a shaftless lever, and we'll come up with a plan. Okay, there's our lever. It has a square shaped hole in it. Now where it came off the shaft, it's got a square that had been riveted over, but the square's at an oddball angle to the flat face. Yeah, she's probably 15 degrees, 20 degrees out of reference to the flat face there. So I think what I'm going to do on our shaft, and I've lost it again, here it is, I'll put it back in the lathe, we'll part it off to length, and then we'll machine a little shoulder down on the top of it, that our lever can sit over. We'll assemble up our carby, we'll sit our lever on, and then we'll just get the MIG welder and we'll just put a tiny spot on it, and that will hold it. So we'll get back to the lathe and part this to length. That's all we need. Little spot of weld on there, she'll be apples. Okay, there's our rivets and shaft in place. So we just have to come up with a plan to pin over the rivets on the rear of the shaft. So I think I'll just grip a little bit of shaft in the vise, so I can set that on it. Then I can come through with a pin punch through inside and just give the back of each rivet a bit of a tock with a hammer. Once that's done, then we can set our lever arm in position. We'll know then it will be in the right position. And yeah, just put a little spot of weld on the top of it. Okay, we had a win. Beautiful. Let's show you in a close-up. Of course, we had a rag down in case any of the rivets fell out, so they fall on the rag and not anywhere in the surrounding area. Okay, so you see there now we have the larger head of the rivet, and we open up the butterfly, and the other side of the rivets we've managed to pin over, so we managed to reach them through the rear of the carby with a pin punch going down and hammering onto a slug held in the vise. So okay, all we've got to do now, there's a rubber seal that goes on the top there, which is that, and our little link arm sits on top there, so we make sure the butterfly is fully closed, the idle position's back right off where the arm contacts the idle screw, just there. So in that position there, and that's the position we put a little spotter weld on the top. So let's head over to the welder. Okay, everything seems to be in position. So we've got a piece of material here which we have our earth clamped on up the other end. That's holding everything together, holding the weight down on the butterfly shaft and making the contact for the earth. And a clamp here holding the lever in the correct position up against the idle adjuster, which is backed right off. So if I just put a little spotter weld here, and what I want to do is quickly cool that off, because there's a rubber seal underneath it. We want to keep that cold. Have to flush this water out. Okay. Job done. So I'll flush the carburettor out, get that water out of it. We'll mount it back on the mower, and we should be good.